It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Thursday, September 28th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that can say, at least we have a goal now, Russ.
Is one on the board.
All right, we're going to talk about that Islanders game from last night, as well as give our thoughts and predictions on training camp cuts moving forward.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making it Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. You can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at rmiriam. I'm here as always with Russ Cohen, who's on all your favorite social media apps at Sportsology. We as a show are on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, all at Locked On Flyers as well. You can subscribe or follow us for free over on YouTube or on the SiriusXM app. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, subscribe to get our latest episode as soon as it's available here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Russ, we had a few cuts from camp. We are going to get into those as well as our predictions for what will happen over the next few days. We'll do that after we talk about the game. Speaking of the game, there's some notable absences in this one. Now, we understand not everybody's going to play every preseason game, but we didn't see Cam Atkinson because we do not really know how he's doing. Ian LaPerriere says he's in the gym, but like that doesn't really tell you anything.
Doesn't mean anything. It
No,
doesn't.
we also heard that Cam York was a little banged up. He wasn't out there in practices yesterday for the non-game group, nor was he in the game. Obviously, a little concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll have to kind of do the old wait and see. But you know, even even Travis Konecny, who we'll talk about, they say he's okay, but he's not going to play till the end of the week. So it's like, all right. I mean, it's just it's a little worrisome. It's not. I'm more worried about Atkinson than all the rest.
Yeah, I think so. The aforementioned Travis Konecny was at practice and did skate. He didn't really say much about what the injury was, but that he's doing all right now. He'll be good to go for those games later this week. So I don't know if we'll see him in Friday's game, but my guess is that we'll see him in the first home preseason game for sure.
Right. I expect them to see him then.
So for this game last night against the Islanders, it was definitely a prospect slash AHL heavy group. Having Ian LaPerriere coach them, there's an advantage to that with this particular group, but there's also a disadvantage in that they, again, were not getting time with Torts behind the bench, getting to know them as players close up.
Yeah, I mean, there's times in this game where uh yeah, maybe they're getting shots on goal, but they're not getting great shots on goal. There's no rebounds. There's nothing to follow that up with. They at times were a step behind skating wise, and you kind of wish, the coach was there to kind of, address that. There's only so much Ian LaPerriere is going to address with that stuff. He knows it's preseason. He knows those guys are going to start their own camp, and so it's like you lack some authority, honestly.
Yeah, I think that is kind of an issue for me too. I think that it's important, especially for the key prospects, to really get to build a working relationship with Torts. And this is two games where he hasn't been there. In this game, though, they did get significantly more shots on goal. They were up 30-19 overall on the Islanders. A pretty typical, I would say, against a team like the Islanders where they do allow a lot of shots on goal, but they're so strong defensively that they may not be as high quality shots. But we did get one in finally. Ryan Poehling, if you had him on your bingo board as the first Flyers goal of the preseason, you probably just won a lot of money.
But not an even strength goal, and that's the other thing. So
Yeah.
again, they had to pull the goalie with 4 minutes to go to create some offense. There's some things I really don't like here, and I understand that they're a rebuilding team, but again, it's a difference of two nights. The Islanders played yesterday, and they lost to the Rangers 4-2, and then they come out and they win this one 2-1. They had they had Appleby in for a half a game. I mean, that's an
Yeah.
opportunity, and it still didn't matter. I mean, that's the part
Yeah.
that kind of gets me, and power plays aside, except for the extra man at the end when things get a little chaotic, the power plays didn't look great either.
No, I think that, they definitely had a lot of green guys out there on the
Mhm.
power play, and so the puck movement, I think, wasn't quite as sharp, as it could have been, and so they weren't getting those quick chance opportunities that you would like to see in the regular season. I think that also comes with time working together. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of a pass until we get to the regular season and there's more established units out there. But I do understand what you're saying and what you
Yeah, I
mean.
mean, I'm
'Cause
just I'm basically saying that
yeah,
yeah, the I understand that there's greener guys, like we said, a lot of AHLers, but those guys have played together too, uh, and certainly have run pro power plays before. And yet, some of the things you're seeing in it, the puck just keeps going the other way, and you're chasing the play sometimes. So, that part gets frustrating to watch.
yeah, I want to talk about Samu Tuomaala a little bit, just because he was put up there on the line with Cates and Lawton, and so this is prime territory. It's putting
Yes.
him in a position to succeed. He also got real quality power play time
Hmm.
in this game, and I think that they were doing everything they could to put him in a good position. I think he still just has a lot to work on. I feel like
Because
there were some opportunities that kind of fell by the wayside for him. I felt like Cates was trying everything he could to set him up, and I felt like Lawton was just sort of picking up the garbage on that line and like just trying to make things happen on his own because like
Yeah,
out there.
like I said, if you watch Tuamala on his own, he's got a tremendous shot. All of a sudden in a game, when things are kind of askew, unless he has a wide open shot, he he doesn't have much else other than that one timer. And this is a worry. Like it's a worry if, you know, you look at him and you say, I don't know. I don't see where it's going to come from. Yeah, he
Yeah.
scored 26 goals last year at a very low level uh, overseas. That's what he did.
Yeah, as far as Noah Cates goes, I thought, he played mostly his game.
Yeah.
Not really worried about him at all. Not worried about Scott Laughton
No,
at
Lawton
all.
played fine. I mean,
Yeah,
he was
yeah. I
really
do
trying to
wanna
help the others. You could see that.
yeah, yeah. I think that's absolutely what was happening there. I do want to talk about this potential fourth line we have going though, with Poehling centering Deslauriers and Hathaway. I gotta say, I think with time, I could actually really like this line, and it felt like it's a line that could be somewhat similar to what the Islanders have as a fourth line, with just a quality line that gets occasional points on the board.
Yeah, I think as a line they could have some effectiveness, but like Hathaway's got to reel it in, getting an unsportsmanlike on the bench when you're down two
Yeah,
nothing. If that's regular season, that's pretty much the game, right? So you have to watch that stuff. And I don't know what he did. They didn't say what he did.
no,
The ref saw what he did, so whatever it was wasn't great. So that's the only downside of that one. But yeah, as long as you're not playing those guys. See, here's the problem: if you attach Paling to those guys, then they're only going to play 8-9 minutes a game, and you feel bad for Paling because he's got more than that. So that's my only problem with that line is I'd like to see Paling play even more, but he's not going to be able to if he's on that line.
yeah, that is absolutely true. As far as some other guys, I thought Tanner Lazinski was doing absolutely everything he
He's
could out
trying, man,
there.
but there's some fans. I get messages. I don't think he's any good. It just feels
They
like
are mistaken.
I think they are mistaken. I think he tries hard, and
Mhm.
you do see some effectiveness. There was a bad turnover. Well, he wasn't a turnover as much as he just got ran over late in that game. But that was the other thing. Physically, the Flyers were not even up to the task.
Yeah, going back to Lazinski though, he had a nice shot off the post in the second.
Yeah,
He drew a penalty. He takes his shots when he gets
he
them. He
does.
doesn't has He doesn't hesitate, and I think that was important.
No, that is important. I mean, he was a good scorer at the college level. We had hoped that maybe it could translate. We'll see.
Yeah. As far as the blue line goes, I think the guys we're really focused on in this one is Emil Andre, Adam Ginning, and Ronnie Attard. I think they all had moments. Certainly, Attard and Ginning were trying to contribute offensively,
Yeah,
and
that's the tough part. If you're getting Jennings to try and get in on the offense, then to me things aren't going right. Uh, it's Andre and Adder. You really want to see that extra offense, but towards the end, you were seeing it more out of Jennings, which is, I guess, good for him, but it's not what you want to see.
yeah, I do think Attard. He did have a slow start to the game, but he did pick it up, and I thought he had a good second and third period overall.
It was better. It was better for sure. It was good. It was a decent showing for him.
Yeah, yeah, but having sort of an all prospect AHL blue line out there against the Islanders was certainly a choice, and I think they handled themselves okay overall.
I think they did okay. Certainly. I mean, compared to what they were facing, yeah.
Yeah, and then as far as goaltending goes, I think both of them did fine. I'm not
Yeah.
really worried about either.
No, they're going to have good goaltending all year, but if again they're not going to be able to score, it's going to be frustrating for fans to watch. And so far, we haven't seen any reason to think that all of a sudden they're going to score a lot.
Yeah. Well, so there were some real good things to come out of this one. There were some questions that we still
Yeah.
have to answer. Some of the biggest questions are what's going to happen next at training camp, and we are going to talk about that coming up next.
Love the convenience of getting what you want right to your door. You've trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites, and now with DoorDash grocery delivery, you can stock up for the week or order those last minute cravings conveniently. There's thousands of grocery stores to choose from, and you'll get exactly what you ordered, or we'll make it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them yourself. You could even save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with no delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Pass membership. DoorDash has easy substitutions right in the app and best in class customer support so you get the groceries you want. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use the code LOCKED at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20, no minimum subtotal, zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the code LOCKED. Don't forget that's LOCKED for 50% off your first order with DoorDash.
All right. So now that we've talked about the game, we're going to go back and talk about those training camp cuts we referred to earlier in the show. They decided to send the junior hockey guys back, or at least most of them. So Denver Barkey and Oliver Bonk are going back to London in the OHL. Carter Sutherland was sent back to Portland in the WHL. And then they cut camp invites. Jonathan Falchon and Sam Sedley. Those two have been released. Do you think it was like a little bit too soon to cut those junior guys, or do you think it was just time and they
No, it
sent it
was too
back?
soon. I mean, it's just, this is a rebuilding team. I like I said the other day on the other show, when you have a team that you're contending for a Stanley Cup, yes, I get making the cut downs quicker because you don't have many roster spots. Once again, this is John Tortorella proving and showing to us that he is going to coach it his way, rebuilding or not, he will do it the same way. So, yeah, I would rather these guys have gotten games and at least one game with him. The fact that that didn't happen, I think, is disappointing.
Yeah, I think that's the part of it for me that I would have liked to see each of them for one more preseason game, and then they could have sent him back. That would have been fine, but really one more with John Tortorella behind the bench, and we have not seen Tortorella behind the bench at all in either of the games. So I think that it's just something that it was kind of would have been a nice to have, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Again, I want to know if this team is rebuilding. I want to know if, see, John is just going to say they're rebuilding, but he's still going to do it his way. So he's not going to do it geared towards a rebuild. He's just not.
Yeah, I think that'll be a real interesting thing to follow here. Now, also, we know that Phantoms training camp starts on Sunday. So everybody that's going to for sure be a Phantom will get cut soon. It's a matter of do they do it now or do some of these guys get maybe one more game on Friday before they get sent to Lehigh Valley. And so I am expecting the pretty much we know what's happening, guys, to get cut right away, just
Yes.
so there's the roster space for Friday's preseason game for who they really need to see. And then after that, the rest of them will go, or most of them will go. So after this game, I'm expecting to see Brett Gardner, Adam Brooks, Cooper Marady, Mason Millman, and Jacob Goucher cut
Yeah.
at the very minimum.
Yeah. At the minimum, could be one or two more, but definitely them.
Yeah, so, most of those guys are on two-way deals. The only thing different is Mason Millman's still on that last year of the ELC, so that just works however it does, and we know what's going on with Mason Millman from year to year on D. But Jacob Goucher was on a camp invite, and he's got a two-way deal, but it's AHL, ECHL, and got called up to the Phantoms from Reading last year. I expect him to be a full-time Phantoms player this season, unless just gets boxed out for roster reasons.
Right. I think that's. I think you're right. I think that's exactly right.
And then you have your other guys who are just on an AHL contract. So Brendan Furry is one of those guys. Adam Karashik is one of those guys, and Jordy Bellerive.
Yeah. Got no problem with that.
And then apparently Evan Pillay, who has an AHL contract, was skating in Voorhees, must have just gotten in early, and they said, "Why don't you just come down to Voorhees and skate for the day so that you're with some of the Phantoms
That's
guys, and
nice.
then
That's nice to do
you'll
that.
Yeah, so he wasn't even invited to camp at all, but, apparently they let him skate, during the training camp skates, and then I think, like, the big giant question mark, will Matt Brown get that AHL deal?
I don't think he's getting it. I would, I would hope that he would, because I think there's a little something there. I don't think he's getting it.
Man, that would be so disappointing after all this. I really think, there could be something there, at least at the AHL level. I think he could contribute offensively. And I think really is a guy that's hungry to make a name for
There's
himself.
no
And
question
that's
he's
what you
hungry.
want.
He's had a good effort. He's a good skater. There's a little bit of offense in his game, but I just feel like there's not enough excitement surrounding his name to sign him.
Yeah, I think so. But it's just, that's baffling to me because in a rebuild, you want hungry
Yeah.
guys that have all the motivation in the world, and, it seems like he is one of those guys. I'm not saying he's an NHL player, I'm just saying for the Phantoms, I think he, really could make a contribution there, so, a
I
little
think
disappointing.
I think he could too, but he's also 5'9". Sorry to say that.
Well, some of those guys are fun to have around as
No, but
well.
I mean, there's a limit that the Flyers will have on the roster. I think that's pretty obvious with the height that they're going after, and even players that they're still trying to maybe trade for that we hear rumors about. They're still trying to go big.
Yeah, I think so there's still some question marks about quite a number of the players left at camp, and there are some guys that I'm, 95 to 100% sure that they're going to end up on the Phantoms this year, but it's how much more time in Flyers camp are they going to give them just to see what they look like against NHL competition. And Zade Wisdom is on the top of the list, of that for me. He's gonna be a Phantom this year, there's no question, but he's just really, I think, shown at rookie camp and at training camp and really shows he does exactly what John Tortorella wants. So will he get rewarded with some extra time at Flyers training camp?
I think so. I think Wisdom will get rewarded with that time. I think Mete, because he's been an NHLer. I think Samson has done well enough to do that. Belpedo, you know what he is. There's no point in keeping him up. Zamolik, you know what he is. There's no point in keeping him up. And Tuomaala, you know that he's not been doing well enough. So I'd send him too.
Yeah, so with Belpedio, the only reason why I think he might stick around for 1 game longer is that he is on a two-way contract, and they may just lump him in with those guys
Maybe.
and keep him up an extra game, like, through Friday's game, and then send him
But
down.
that extra game takes away some ice time maybe from a Ronnie Attard or someone like that, and there's no point in doing that.
You are correct.
You
I
know
just
what he
think
is. Like, it's not like he's
yeah.
going to there's something different about Louis Belpedio this year than there has been in his entire career. He's been around a while. Like, there's no
Yeah, I
you
think
know what he is.
just from a prediction standpoint, I think, they may just lump him with those two-way
I
deal
hate your
guys.
prediction.
Okay. Well, and I very well could be wrong. I could be wrong about all those
You're
two-way
gonna
guys.
hate
They
your
could s
prediction. I predict you're gonna hate your prediction.
I know. I think I'll be fine with it either way. I think that I'm just, it's a fun game to play. What are they gonna do at camp? So, we'll see what they end up doing here. They may lump them with the two-way deal guys and wait one more day or keep him around, just because he is a blue liner. I don't know. I just feel like there's something with him that they may wanna hold him on a little bit
Okay,
longer, but
fair enough.
I think you're right with Victor Mete. I think they'll keep him around a little
Yeah.
bit longer. Smolik, they'll probably send back, but again, it's a more recent signing, and so will they want to, for their own satisfaction, keep him around
I don't
longer
know. They
to
don't seem all that
justify the
interested.
signing?
They don't seem all that interested in him, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. Ethan Sampson, I think he will stick
Yeah.
around, but there's a chance they'll send him back.
Right.
Uh,
That one would be sad if they sent him back because he's really doing well, and I think he should be able to show off his wares a little more.
yeah, and Samu Tuomaala, I think again remains to be seen, just because there is so much investment in him, and given where he was picked, they may keep him around a little bit longer. But I think we know he's going to end up on the Phantoms, and that's what it's going to be. So, like, why delay things? In my
Right. I
opinion.
think why delay the inevitable?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's correct. All right. Well, we have some more guys to talk about and see where they fall in this camp decision making process. And we'll do that coming up next. All right, Russ. So, in terms of the guys that I think will definitely stick around through the weekend, is my prediction. Of course, Emil Andre is at the top of that list. They love him. They even, praise him when he makes mistakes because he is one of those guys that recovers well from them and has that heads up game. And we've gotten to see a whole bunch of different sides to his game, and I think they just want to have him up against that NHL competition as long as possible.
Yeah,
And he
I
does.
like that idea.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that he does still have a chance to make the roster, so he will absolutely stick around. I think Helge Grans is going to stick around as well. They like him. And again, he is a borderline guy, and when they acquired him in that deal, there was a reason why they picked him, amongst some possibilities there. So I think that he'll stick around until the bitter end.
I think so.
Ronnie Attard, I think, will absolutely stick around for at least one more preseason game, if not two. He talked about where he's at yesterday, and he's really focused, working on his speed and his strength, and he wants to show that he's got a well-rounded game. That yes, he is more of a defensive defenseman, but he's good on the power play, and he thinks he can provide some offense. And I think that's what he needs to just show a little bit more of.
I think that's true that he does need to show it. I also feel like they're just not going to give him that opportunity at this time with all these bodies there. I think he's going to be an odd man out because I think in their mind, they're not really looking for the offense. They're just looking for the best defenders. And right now, it still needs work for him.
Yeah, that's why I think they'll give him one more game, and then
Yeah.
they'll think about it at that point. So he won't be in the next round of cuts, is my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Bobby Brink is sticking around because again, they want to give him every opportunity in the
Yes.
world. I think Gendron has earned staying around. I don't know that they'll do it, but so my
Okay.
prediction is going to be he should. and will stick around at least for one more game. And then, your other sort of more borderline guys, Ali Lixel, Elliot Denoyer, and of course Egor Zamula, given his contract status and he has to go through waivers. He's more likely to make the team for the
Yeah,
beginning of the
Zamula is
season.
guaranteed because of the contract, and the others they'll get another game or so, and then they'll be down in the minors.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely what will happen with them. Really hope Elliot Denoyer can pick things up a little bit and have a good preseason game under his belt.
Me too.
And I think Zamula does what he does, and I think that in that sort of sixth D or seventh D,
And he's proven he could fill in. So, like, if you need a
yeah,
guy on short notice, he's a pretty good puck mover. He can push around a few bodies. He's strong. So I feel like they know he could fill in already.
yeah, I think so too. I think that's really where he's at. And then, there's of course Mateo Mann has been hurt.
Yeah.
So he's gonna stick around to rehab as long as they can in this area to monitor him and kind of manage that process. He's been skating on the other rink during practice sessions and working out there. So it feels like he's in a good position to recover pretty quickly. But then he'll go off at the end of camp. And then J.R. Avon, obviously, I wonder if he's going to stick around Philly for his recovery and rehab for the duration of it.
That's a good question. Maybe at the beginning for sure, get the operation here, start the rehab here, and then maybe they send him.
Yeah, I think so as well. But yeah, that's kind of what your Flyers camp roster looks like and where we think everybody is. And, you can look at all these individual decisions and
Not
then,
as much
y-
battling as we perceived and hoped before everything began. I think there's been some cold water thrown on some of that.
yeah, that's a really good point. And so I'm wondering, like, where is this competition going to be? And are any of these prospects going to get a crack at it, given the way camp has gone so far?
I mean, there'll be a little bit on defense. There still could be one in goaltending. And depending on injuries, uh, there could be for forwards, but I think only depending on injuries.
Yeah, I think that's where it is too. And obviously we're gonna keep an eye on what's going on with Cam Atkinson and Travis Konecny and see where they stand, and that will affect those forward decisions, right?
Yeah, no question. That's the crux of it. Especially Cam Atkinson because uh, he's not getting on the ice. And so if he's not getting on the ice, if it's a knee, an ankle, or a groin, you hope it's not the groin because again, that's something that takes a while, and also it's something that tells you that he's got some work to do to really become an NHLer again since the operation.
Yeah, well, at least TK is getting back on the ice, so
Right.
uh, we're in a better situation there with
Yes.
him. But yeah, so we'll see if we were right with these camp predictions as the next couple of days progress. And of course, we will be back tomorrow and we are going to talk about any cuts that are made. We are going to preview the third preseason game against the Bruins, the last of the three road games in the Flyers preseason. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. So if you've got mailbag questions or just want to send us your thoughts, you can do so via Twitter DM at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail, or you can comment over on our YouTube channel. I am Rachel. I'm on Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology. SPORTSOLOGY.
Have a great day, everyone.